that are taking place. Some Palestinians are being charged up to $2,000
I'm not going
a
to
seat.
South Africa for the G20 because I think their policies on the extermination of people are unacceptable. So I'm not going. So I won't refer to anything having to do with South Africa. South Africa has behaved extremely badly. But
to pursue the agenda of white supremacy.
You think Trump is pursuing a white supremacist agenda?
Yes, I think so.
Sunrise over DC, coffee in my hand. Saw the headlines from a faraway land. South Africa's politicos
running their mouth again about America and me. Where does it all end? Near about a whole year of the same old tune.
name calling in tall tales beneath the African moon. Oh, it's more trash in the USA, I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare. Pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough,
Patience wearing thin.
gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin? They talk about freedom and justice for all, while their own people are answering a different call.
Farmers on their homesteads,
Living in fear and dread,
minority voices silence words left unsaid.
promises like tumbleweeds blowing in the breeze, while their leaders keep on preaching,
Bringing us to our knees. Oh, it's more trash in the USA, I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare. Pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough,
patience wearing thin.
gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin?
I tried to stay quiet,
Let it roll right on by.
but a man can only take so much beneath God's sky. That's the honest truth.
When you see folks suffering, it just ain't right.
Gonna set the record straight with all of my might. Oh, it's more trash in the USA, I declare, while their own folks are struggling beyond all compare. Pointing fingers outward, ignoring what's inside. For Afrikaners and minorities, nowhere left to hide. Well, this cowboy's had enough,
Patience wearing thin.
gonna tell the world the truth.
Where do I begin?
Yeah, more trash in the USA.
But the truth will find its way.
Pretoria, listen up to what I gotta say. God bless America, come what may.
Come what may.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side, you manipulator. Playing games, your friends commentators. And I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Herzliche Glückwünsche für alle auf dieser Welt und bonjour tous. Je suis très heureux que vous êtes là avec nous pour notre transmission aujourd'hui. Je viens du Pennsylvanie aux États-Unis. Je suis le colonel Chris Wyatt. Welcome, folks. Welcome to the program. It's a pleasure to have you join me once again. Let me do a quick sound check. To the program. It's a pleasure to have you join me once again. Let me do a quick... Okay, sound is working. Welcome back to the program. It is Sunday, January 4th, 2026. If you haven't turned your clock over, we are now in 2026. Can you believe that? I remember as a child, I said, by the time that we get to the year 2000, I'll be such an old man. The hubris of the youth. Anyway, welcome back to the program. Much to talk about. Thank you for arriving on a special broadcast time today and your flexibility. Sunday is normally the day that I do the Sunday edition, which goes for an hour and a half or 2 hours or longer. And then later in the day, I do the Café Clutch for Refugee conversation. However, today, my guests are still in the area. The Stolze family, the artificially intelligence-generated family that doesn't exist according to the hateful wankers in South Africa. There are a few of them out there. But the Stolze family is still in the area in central Pennsylvania, and today we'll go to the Army History and Education Center. After that visit, we're going to go to the battlefield down at Gettysburg, and then we'll see them on their way as they head further south and head back to where they're living at down south in South Carolina. So welcome to the program. It's a pleasure for all of you to join us today. I understand that most people are well aware that the United States went into Venezuela, captured the narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro, and the South African government is losing its mind, complaining, howling, whining. Instead of doing that, perhaps it might be wiser to shut their yaps and actually pay attention to what's going on and stop acting like the village idiots, because what goes around can come around their direction. Who's next? Iran? South Africa? My goodness. It's a crazy world. But let's get to our news broadcast. First up, what does the United States have on Nicolas Maduro? Why did they do this? Well, he was indicted for narco-terrorism charges in 2020 in the Southern District of New York. The Biden administration made zero effort to extradite or capture him, and now a real leader is in charge, and it's time to face the consequences. You know, Trump was willing to let him live and leave, just go off to a tropical island, but he decided to be arrogant, just like Emmanuel Noriega. And, well, Saddam Hussein, you clowns all learn in the end that, as the Malian dialogue indicated, Thucydides on the Peloponnesian War over a millennia ago, the strong do what they want, the weak will suffer what they must. And there you have it, Nicolas Maduro. Are you listening? Cyril Ramaphosa, the strong do what they want, the weak suffer what they must. If you think that multilateralism in international relations theory works, you think that constructivism in international relations theory works, in practice, you're mistaken. Realism is what works, primarily, in international relations. The strong do what they want, the weak will suffer what they must. You can yap and complain all you want, but that's how it works. That's how it works. Please do not put all caps in the chat. Your message will be deleted. United States District Court, Southern District of New York versus Nicolas Maduro Moros and a host of other reprobates. For over 25 years, leaders of Venezuela have used their positions of public trust and corrupted once legitimate institutions to import tons of cocaine into the United States. Nicolas Maduro, the defendant, is at the forefront of that corruption. His partner with his co-conspirators to use his illegally obtained authority and institutions he corroded to transport thousands of tons of cocaine to the United States since his early days of Venezuelan government. He's tarnished every public office he's held. As a member of Venezuela's National Assembly, he moved loads of cocaine under the protection of Venezuelan law enforcement. As Venezuelan Minister of Foreign Affairs, he provided Venezuelan diplomatic passports to drug traffickers and facilitated diplomatic cover for planes used to money launderers to repatriate drug profits. As president, now de facto ruler, he allows cocaine-fueled corruption to flourish for his own benefit. He now sits atop a corrupt, illegitimate government that for decades has leveraged government power to protect and promote illegal activity, including drug trafficking. And the list goes on. A 25-page indictment against Nicolas Maduro and his co-conspirators. What is going on? What are you talking, Marissa? So what is going on here? Shot inside his home, protecting his wife alone with 2 suspects in the house with a gun and 1 with a knife. Thank you for sharing that, Marissa. And thank you for the super chat there, JJ Neuhoff. 14 rand clouds are gathering. 25-page indictment against Nicolas Maduro and his co-conspirators in that case. Venezuelans around the globe cheer as Maduro is gone. But they wonder what comes next because leftists still run that country. In Peru, Venezuelan migrants celebrate in the streets, waving flags and wearing their dark red national soccer jersey. In Brazil, they sprayed each other with beer in scenes reminiscent of Carnival. In Florida, 90 minutes south of Mar-a-Lago, a jubilant crowd gathered outside an Arpa restaurant, honking horns, cheering, and waving Venezuelan American flags. I'm trembling with emotion. I haven't slept since learning the news from friends in Caracas who called at 2 a.m., said Nancy Martinez, who moved to the U.S. a year ago and joined hundreds of others who took to the streets in celebration. The sprawling Venezuelan diaspora celebrated the ouster of Nicolas Maduro, cheering on President Trump's actions and wondering, what now? In Doral, Florida, known as Little Venezuela for its large population of immigrants, hundreds crammed around and into El Arapazo all day and into the evening. Restaurant is gathering place Venezuelans inside a gas station branded Chevron, the oil company that operated Venezuela for more than a century. This is a huge moment for us, said Daniel Tirado, a 30-year-old political researcher. Little is likely to change immediately, he said. We don't know exactly what's going to happen in the next few days. We have to try and convince our Congress members that this is the correct path. Around 8 million Venezuelans live in exile, double the number of Zimbabweans who live in exile. I want to retire in Venezuela, and now it will be possible because we won't have that threat over our heads and that uncertainty, said Rafael Moros, 70, who's excited to return with his wife after living in the U.S. for more than 30 years. Well, good. Look at the jubilation there in Santiago, Chile. His Venezuelans are stoked. They are chuffed. Here's the Chevron station where the Venezuelans showed up in Doral, Florida. Maduro's capture sends a message to the fascist communist elite in China and other authoritarian states like North Korea and the ANC. The January 3rd operation is being interpreted as a signal that Washington may move more aggressively against authoritarian leaders it deems security threats. Look at that crowd, man. That's outside that Chevron station. Analysts say the operation represents the clearest expression of Trump's revived Monroe Doctrine, or the Donroe Doctrine, as Trump calls it, that treats national security and law enforcement as inseparable. The U.S. strike on Venezuela. Pretoria calls for urgent UN Security Council action. Ooh, look at us quaking in our boots. South Africa condemned the U.S. military strike, calling it a violation of the UN Charter. U.S. confirmed capturing Venezuela's President Maduro, citing drug trafficking and oil theft as motives for the operation. Global leaders in the UN expressed alarm. Well, a few did. Many cheered on the events. Not all expressed alarm. Trump says U.S. will run Venezuela. South Africa calls the UN Security Council urgently convened. My goodness, by Peter Fabricius. And Fabricius makes a clear point here. It's unclear how Trump plans to oversee Venezuela, despite his dramatic overnight operation that knocked out electricity in parts of Caracas. They still seem to be in charge. It's a good point by Peter Fabricius. The United States has not made a direct intervention in its backyard since the invasion of Panama 37 years ago. Maduro is a 63-year-old former bus driver handpicked by the dying Hugo Chavez to succeed him. South African government is calling the United Nations Security Council to convene urgently to address U.S. military strike. Pretoria called the attack and capture of Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, a manifest violation of the Charter of the United Nations, which mandates that all member states refrain from the use of force against the territorial integrity or independence of any state. Furthermore, the Charter does not authorize military intervention in matters that are essentially within the jurisdiction of a sovereign nation. DIRCO's spokesperson, Chris Wyatt, told the Daily Maverick that South Africa's ambassadors and the rest of the embassy staff were safe after the U.S. military strike. Well, of course they were. They're not targets. We're not targeting South Africa. Not yet. Thucydides. The Millennium Dialogue. The strong will do as they like. The weak will suffer what they must. As soon as these politicians wake up to that reality, their life will be much easier. Meanwhile, this public statement from Durko, assailing the United States. Not a wise move. Durko slams U.S. efforts to run Venezuela. Pretoria views U.S. actions as manifest violation of UN Charter, says Department of National Relations and Cooperation. South African government has called on the UN Security Council, the body mandated to maintain international peace and security, urgently convened to address the situation in Venezuela. This after the U.S. conducted a large-scale military strike against Venezuela. Chris Pimperi said Pretoria viewed U.S. actions as manifest violation of the UN Charter. Well, I view South Africa's actions in Operation Boleas 1 and Boleas 2 in Lesotho and its 4 invasions of Comoros as illegal actions. Shall we sanction the ANC for its illegal invasion of Lesotho twice and Comoros 4 times? Should we sanction the ANC for that? Yeah. Well, the MK party, which congratulated Trump for attacking jihadists in Nigeria, has turned on Trump. And now they attack him, condemning an act of war. Quick to jump the bandwagon to keep their name in the news, the Umkhonto we Sizwe party has condemned the U.S. invasion or attack on Nicolas Maduro. A complete turnabout from their stance a year ago. On January 22nd, they released a statement after Trump's appointment. The party welcomed President Trump's inauguration with hope for global justice and sovereignty. Flash forward to Saturday, the MK seems to have forgotten its earlier support of Trump as the party has made a complete turnaround. The MK party unequivocally and resolutely condemns the United States military assault on the sovereign Bolivarian Republic. Yeah, all right, moving right along from that nonsense. A former South African ambassador to Venezuela says U.S. military operation is a fight for oil and power. No, not even remotely true. The sludge that comes out of Venezuela is not on our bingo card. Instead, Gila has attributed the U.S. forces' large-scale strike involving more than 150 aircraft targeting military and government infrastructure to Venezuela's largest proven oil reserves. Yeah. Tell yourself that. Does that make you feel better? I do not know Scott Ritter, and I have no respect for Scott Ritter. So that's where that conversation starts and ends. He betrayed the United States with his lies about Iraq, and he will not be forgiven for that. 23 South Africans stuck in Venezuela are all confirmed safe. South Africa confirmed that... Oh, my goodness. Hang on a second. Hang on. Oh, it stopped. It's my backup. Oh, I got to go take care of that. Sorry about that. My UPS battery was low. I unplugged it last night. Now it's so low that it's just annoying me. Yep. Clayson Moniela, South Africa's head of public diplomacy, said South African embassy in Caracas remains in direct contact with South African nationals. The embassy said there are about 23 in the country, all accounted for and safe. Well, an ANC mayor allegedly assaults emergency workers and cops after his brother dies in a car crash. Tekwa Temani mayor denies assaulting emergency workers after his brother died in a crash. The mayor of Lekwa Temani, local municipality, Sabang Motlabi, has been accused of assaulting emergency personnel and a traffic officer on the scene after a fatal car crash involving his brother. Allegations he denies. Incident occurred on the night of 12 December on the road between Bloemhof and Wollemannstad in Northwest. 2 vehicles, 5 people injured, including 2 critically injured drivers. One of them, his brother, was later declared dead at the scene. Behavior is unacceptable regardless of personal grief. Emergency workers must be protected, not attacked. That's the gentleman who died. A criminal case has been opened against the gentleman. They were coming from a party because there was alcohol in their vehicle. When the mayor arrived, instead of allowing emergency workers to do their jobs, he allegedly became violent and disruptive. While we were still on the scene, he began attacking a traffic cop and medical staff. I was with my kids, and one of them experienced trauma. Both autism and ADHD affect my oldest son. Someone who is meant to be a leader made the issue worse. I understand grief. He's human, but that does not give him the right to insult and assault people who are there to help. Well, perhaps he should put him in prison, like Vicky Momberg, who was suffering from trauma when she said the things she said about the police officer. Perhaps the mayor should be put in prison. Well, folks, red tide. Ooh, you're being warned on the West Coast not to eat shellfish. Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and Environment has issued a stern warning to the public against eating shellfish, following reports of large numbers of dead white mussels, whelks, and other shellfish washing up on the shore of the West Coast. Ugh. The mass shellfish washouts have so far been confined to St. Helena Bay and Elands Bay. No shellfish or shellfish mortalities have been directly linked to the red tides. There have been no mortalities reported to it. However, there remains a high risk of toxicity, and it's still advised that all shellfish, irrespective of being washed out or collected on shore, should not be eaten. Wow. Fisheries, Forestry, and Environment. Is that Willie Ocamp's department now? Well, he did something useful rather than skank on his predecessor. Air Force's mysterious Mauritius trip is explained. This is supposed to be believed that small Beechcraft King aircraft is what President Ramaphosa flew to Mauritius in. Is this the story we're being told? 2 weeks later, is it take them this long to cock up this story and create this fairy tale for us? The questions about why an Air Force aircraft took the long route to Mauritius 2 weeks ago have been cleared up. President Ramaphosa went on to relax the island over the Christmas period. The Air Force aircraft transported a support team. In the process, the crew built up necessary flying hours and enjoyed a free holiday on the island. Why was a King Beechcraft necessary to fly the president's team to Mauritius? Something is not quite right here. This is also an aircraft that had, until recently, been out of commission. It had not been serviceable. Only recently returned to service and didn't have any flying hours. Yeah, Air Pala Pala, exactly. I don't believe this for a heartbeat. It's the only serviceable Beechcraft of its kind in 41 Squadron. Another one had the door fly open and blew away during takeoff at Lansera last year. Ramaphosa is guarded all times under the police VIP protection unit's mandate. The same applies to other members of country senior leadership. The state is responsible for his protection, which explains why the Air Force aircraft was deployed. No, it doesn't. Ramaphosa wasn't on the plane, so a VIP protection team on the Beechcraft could not protect the president. Also, it's a slow-moving prop. It couldn't have kept up with the jet that flew Ramaphosa to Mauritius, assuming he went there. They really take us for fools. They really take us for fools. These are the stupidest liars ever. They are so stupid in their lies, it's hard to fathom. Not even remotely true. 2 dead, nearly 50 hospitalized after the lightning strike. My goodness, is this the wrath of God or what? No, it's climate change! Damn it! 2 people were killed when lightning struck a group of people on Saturday during the Trupa Festival in Northwest. 150 people attended the 24-hour health facility after the incident, and the 13 critically injured victims have been transferred to Jubilee Hospital in Temba. Wow. My goodness. Man, the wrath of God. Gate McKenzie is coming out once again, looking for attention, telling us yet again he has new information on the disappearance of little Jocelyn. Yes, that's right. Gate McKenzie comes out with more information. 500-day delay in the foundation launch. McKenzie announced in July 2024 he would donate his full ministerial salary to establish the Jocelyn Smith Foundation for Missing Children, but he has yet to launch it, despite registering it. He claims he funded an independent investigation that has produced a breakthrough. 6-year-old Jocelyn Smith disappeared from Saldanha Bay in February of last year, or 2024. Her mother, Kelly Smith, her mother's boyfriend, and another man were sentenced to life in prison for human trafficking and kidnapping in May of last year. He claims the reason it's taking so long to get the foundation for Jocelyn off the ground is his party believes it has received new information about her disappearance. So why would it matter? Minister of Sport and Culture responded last Sunday in a live broadcast on his Patriarch Alliance Facebook page to a report published by Rapport. He announced he would donate his entire ministerial salary to the Jocelyn Smith Foundation. That's $2.5 million per year. That means he owes already 4 million rand to this foundation that doesn't exist. Very credible information, and that information is being followed up. We'll soon share some very breaking news regarding the matter. Well, we'll wait and see. But in the meantime, he offered to create a foundation. Whether she's found alive or dead or her remains are found really isn't germane to whether a foundation is started or not. Gate McKenzie needs to step up to the plate and stop being the Michelle Obama of South Africa. Bring back our girls. Remember the Chibok girls? That wealthy, elite, snob, racist Michelle Obama moved on very quickly when she couldn't exploit the children of Chibok. I haven't forgotten. Now, here's a strange situation. This is an odd character, friend of Rob Hersoff, ostensibly. This odd character named Panul, who refused an interview with me, said he was too busy, only for my viewers to spot him in Durban at a restaurant after we had our meet and greet, when he said he was too busy to give an interview. No, I don't have time for that. Sorry, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Panul, the Black Pen, who says some really strange things, posted a thing on Twitter which has got the simple-minded freaking out. Reports coming in that the USA has been bombing Johannesburg and has captured South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and his wife. Ramaphosa is accused of leading a drug cartel, as alluded by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi in the Mshilanga Commission. He's also involved in money laundering as per the Palapala saga, responsible for the murder of miners at Lonmin in Marikana, human rights violations, and genocide, especially white Afrikaner farmers. Many South Africans taking the streets to celebrate the capture of Ramaphosa and demise of the ANC. President Trump has held a press conference stating that he had authorized covert sea operations within South Africa over the past few years. He's further stated the USA will be running South Africa until further notice, and U.S. companies will take over South African mines. So, the idiots that really can't manage the sarcasm of that post, which is what it's meant to be, a sarcastic post, a snarky post by Pinol, are actually attacking him for that. This guy, Cabello, got it right. It's sad how everyone here is missing his point. It didn't happen. Yep. Anyway, I found that entertaining. Well, it's a new year, and the North-South Derby went off, not without a hitch. 53,000 present. Sellout announced, but it wasn't a sellout. 53,000 at DHL Greenpoint Stadium in the mother city of Cape Town to watch the Bulls and the Stormers. It wasn't a very exciting game, but it was a close game, and in the end, the Stormers managed to escape with a victory. Here you have competing fly halves. The main man and the heir apparent, who's now become the main man, Sasha Feinberg Umzulu and Henri Pollard. If the game ever proved that it doesn't have to be quality to be as engrossing as it's compelling, it was this URC North-South Derby between Stormers and the Bulls. Won 13-8 by a Stormers team who had only just outlasted the visitors from Pretoria in a physicality, intensity, and guts and glory fest. This is one of those games only a rugby mum could ever coo over. 23 handling errors, 30 penalties to suggest the match wasn't what you call a quality rugby match. Yep. Low-scoring and error-strewn games have a strange ability to be as infuriating as they are enthralling, but again, by telling that the table-topping Stormers fans looking at played 8, won 8, also tried telling the Bulls fans that 6 defeats on the balance, 4 of them in this competition, that they should take comfort for a clearly brave performance. Well, brave doesn't win the day. Stormers barely remain in first place despite being undefeated because Glasgow has an extra game on them and is just nipping on their heels 2 points behind with 2 losses. Well, the Sharks collapsed late and Hashim Pete came in and broke their hearts. The Lions secured a dramatic victory in the final moments of a thrilling URC match at Kings Park with Hashim Peed's decisive try sealing the triumph over the Sharks. The Lions secured a narrow 23-22 win in Durban after leading 18-17 at halftime. Wow. Saudi-backed government, in the midst of everything else happening, forces have retaken multiple cities in southern Yemen. Rashid Al-Alami, head of the Presidential Leadership Council, says Homeland Shield forces have achieved record success in retaking the provinces near the Saudi border. Yemeni government troops backed by Saudi Arabia have retaken a series of provinces from the United Arab Emirates-backed secessionist Southern Transitional Council. Since Tuesday, Yemen has seen unprecedented escalation in the tensions after STC forces took control of Hadramaut and Al-Mara. Things are happening in the Arabian Peninsula. Well, Iran's calculations on how to deal with the United States might need a reset after what happened to Nicolas Maduro. What happened to Nicolas Maduro? Well, the capture of Nicolas Maduro will force officials in Tehran to consider a broader range of risk as Trump threatens to intervene. Indeed. Trump said Friday Washington was locked and loaded if Tehran cracks down harshly on protesters. A day later, the United States launched military strikes into Venezuela. It confirms that Trump is unpredictable and truly everything is on the table vis-a-vis Iran, says Sanam Vakal, Director of Middle East and North Africa Program at Chatham House. Yes, indeed, everything is on the table, Cyril. Everything is on the table. Are you listening? Are they listening in Pretoria? Zelensky picks military intelligence chief to be his top aide after others are washed away by corruption. Kirillov Budnov replaces Andrei Yermak, who resigned during a corruption investigation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Friday tapped the country's military intelligence chief to replace the top political aide. Lieutenant General Kirillov Budnov, 39 years old, made a name for himself running a range of daring operations from raids on Russian-occupied Crimea to strengthening frontline positions in places such as Pokrovsk. He would accept the offer to serve as chief of staff, adding that now was the time for Ukraine to focus more on firming up its security as it continues peace talks. Well, you mean before you run out of the Ukrainians that can die on the front lines for this man's ego. Norway's electric car sales now represent 96% of all vehicles sold to the woke former Vikings who bring shame to the Viking name. Tesla's a clear market leader with 19% share of the market in Norway. In 2025, electric cars accounted for 96% of all new cars in Norway. Total of 179,550 new passenger cars were registered last year, breaking the previous record in 2021. With a population of just 5.53 million, the high-income country, a GDP of $87,702 per person, it's the third richest per capita among 145 countries. Norway's oil wealth helps sustain its welfare system. Isn't that ironic? So the Norwegians are wealthy because of North Sea oil. So they're extracting North Sea oil and selling it and polluting the planet, but they're just worthy of being wonderful people because they have electric cars. And they're talking about zero emissions. Zero emissions. Of course, they neglect to tell you that those cars are manufactured by digging up mountains and destroying waterways and water tables and ecosystems and wiping out wildlife, digging for rare earth elements. And those rare earth elements are used to manufacture these cars in polluting factories in China. And that those polluting factories in China release more carbon emissions making a single car than it would save in over a decade of using that car. They don't tell you that part. But they're clean, they're green, they're mean. No, I'm sorry. Bunch of stupid people. Pope Leo, speaking of stupid people, the U.S. Pope, the pontiff, says Venezuelan sovereignty must be respected. Okay, fair enough. How about you shut your cake hole and respect American sovereignty? You and your vile predecessor, the Argentinian moron, interfering in U.S. politics, running your mouth about our national security. How about you, Pope Leo, shut your cake hole when talking about America's national sovereignty, okay? Then maybe we'll talk about respecting the sovereignty of Venezuela. Trump says that Maduro's VP is cooperating. She's demanding Maduro's release. Well, you can demand in one hand and take a crap in the other hand, lady, and see which one gets full first. President Trump said the U.S. would run Venezuela. Delcy Rodriguez, his vice president, denounced his illegal kidnapping as shameful. The stunning nighttime capture of President Nicolas Maduro by the U.S. military plunged the oil-rich nation and its 26-year-old experiment in socialism into dizzying uncertainty as President Trump vowed to run the nation with the cooperation of Maduro's vice president while extracting a tremendous amount of wealth from the ground. But Vice President Delcy Rodriguez did not appear to be following the script. In an address to the nation, she denounced the U.S. operation as shameful, evoking socialist icon Hugo Chavez and South American liberator Simon Bolivar, and demanded the release of Maduro and his wife, First Lady Celia Flores. Well, hey, Delcy Rodriguez, just listen, lady, just a word of advice. You might want to tone it down. I'm just saying, you might want to tone it down. Today, in a further operation in Venezuela, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was snatched up by SEAL Team 6, trying to match the valiant efforts of the Army Delta Force who took Nicholas days ago. Oh, my goodness. Delcy Rodriguez strikes a defiant tone Well, good luck with that, sweetheart. She's a political veteran who has served as Maduro's vice president and oil minister and defended the regime against accusations of terrorism, drug running, and election stealing. Trump said she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. I don't know about that. U.S. is not at war with Venezuela. The United States makes clear, and Rubio says, as Maduro is held in the New York jail, where he belongs. Marco Rubio has warned Cuban leaders after Maduro's capture. Are you listening? Tehran, Beijing, Moscow, Pretoria. Are you listening? Havana. Yeah, are you listening? Rubio is warning Cuban leaders to stay out of it. He called Cuba's leaders incompetent, senile men back in December. Yeah, Cuba's a disaster. It has no economy. It's a total collapse. And by the way, all the guards that protect Maduro, this is well known. Their whole spy agency is Cubans. Yeah, of course, to be fair, Marco Rubio is the son of Cubans who are not happy about what happened to Cuba. A Canadian woman is charged after kicking a U.S. border agent in the face. U.S. officials have charged a Canadian woman after she allegedly crossed over the border into Washington State and kicked a border officer in the face. The FBI says the woman was denied entry to the United States to the Peace Arch on December 30th because she had a marijuana vape pen. Officials say she was later spotted walking across a buffer zone at Peace State Park, where people from the United States and Canada are permitted to visit each other without technically crossing the border. Peace Arch marks the spot between BC and Washington State that was erected in 1921. Border agents say the woman used profanities and kicked a female supervisor in the face while resisting arrest. Charged with assault, improper entry, and will be back in the U.S. court later this month. Good. Lock her up. Down with socialism. Canada's conservative Poilievre congratulates Trump for capturing Maduro. Conservative Party leader Pierre Poilievre congratulated Donald Trump over the capture of Nicolas Maduro. Legitimate winner of the most recent Venezuelan elections, Edmundo Gonzalez should take office along with the courageous hero and voice of the Venezuelan people, Maria Corina Machado. Down with socialism, long live freedom. Now, his wife was born in Venezuela and came to Canada with her family as refugees in the 1990s. So also not a person with no dog in the fight. Trump says that the U.S. will run Venezuela in the short term. Wow. How are we going to do that? Well, the Viceroy Rubio. President Trump shared his plans for Venezuela during a press conference yesterday, outlining what would happen next and who would lead the country after what he called an extremely successful U.S. military operation. The dictator and terrorist Maduro is finally gone. In Venezuela, people are free. We're talking to people. We're designating various people. We're going to let you know who those people are. Well, I got to be honest. Venezuela wasn't on my bingo card, but hey, Trump administration, you need an honest, forthright person of character to help run Venezuela. I'm willing to step in the breach. Diplomatic experience, military experience, economic experience, education experience. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. Maduro is being held in a New York prison in Brooklyn. Trump says U.S. will temporarily run the country. The U.S. indictment of Maduro cites cocaine smuggling, but the New York Times, of course, wants to point out that that's just one tiny little aspect of it. Venezuela's role in the trade is believed to be modest. It really doesn't matter. This ban has helped facilitate the narco-trafficking. Whether Venezuela produces cocaine or not isn't germane. 4-count indictment charges his wife, his son, 2 high-ranking Venezuelan officials, and alleged leader of the Tren de Agua group. They worked for decades with major drug trafficking groups to move large amounts of cocaine to the United States. The Trump administration misled Congress before the Maduro raid, say the crying Democrats, more interested in their political fortunes than national security. The attack to seize Venezuela's president came months after Secretary of State Rubio told lawmakers the administration didn't intend to invade the country. Now, let me explain to you what's going to happen here. The dim-witted Democrats are going to say, Rubio lied. He told us they weren't going to invade. That wasn't their intent. Well, and what they're going to cite as proof? They're going to say this was an operation that took 5 months to plan. Indeed. And there's many military operations that take 5 months, 3 months, 4 months, 2 months, a year to plan, and we never execute. The fact that they were working on this plan, a plan to do this, doesn't mean it was ever going to happen. We were going to invade Haiti. Remember that? Under Clinton. We had 82nd Airborne paratroopers with parachutes on their backs flying in C-130s from Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina to Haiti. Less than 30 minutes from jumping out of the plane when the call came, don't jump, land. Became a permissive environment. Military operations that are planned do not mean that there was an intent to have an operation. These are dim-witted Democrats. That's who they are. That's what they're all about. Well, Venezuela's new leader is a hardline lunatic socialist just like her boss. Delcy Rodriguez is known as a political operator. Socialist true believer who helped Maduro rob the country of its riches. Trump said she, I think, was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. She's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple. Well, she needs to leave office because she's not in office legitimately. And an embattled judge convicted of obstructing immigration agents has resigned, ladies and gentlemen. This judge here from Milwaukee, Hannah Dugan, this criminal, is now a convicted felon. Milwaukee Judge Hannah Dugan, who was convicted last month on federal felony charge for helping illegal immigrant evade federal agents, said on January 3rd that she was resigning as a judge. Federal prosecutors said Dugan had distracted federal agents who were trying to arrest Mexican citizen Eduardo Flores Ruiz outside her courtroom and directed the man out of a private door. Flores Ruiz had re-entered the United States illegally and was scheduled to appear before Dugan for a hearing at a state-level battery case. Dugan was charged. So get this right. He assaulted someone. He was being on trial for assaulting someone, and she helped him escape because she was friendly to criminal alien invaders. These are the people that sit on the benches of this country. Dugan was charged after the Trump administration relaxed restrictions on immigration enforcement operations in local courthouses. On December 18, 2025, a federal jury found Dugan guilty of one count of felony, a violation of Section 1505 of Title 18 U.S. Code. Spokesperson Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, Democrat, said his office received Dugan's resignation letter and will move forward with filling the judicial vacancy. No doubt with another scumbag just like her. The indictment against Dugan, dated May 13, 2025, said she obstructed the administration of law by assisting Flores Ruiz to evade arrest. He's since been deported to Mexico and was being sought by the time by immigration and customs authorities for removal. The indictment said Dugan falsely advised agents that they required a judicial warrant to arrest him and that she directed Flores Ruiz and his counsel to exit the courtroom through a non-public jury door. In a resignation letter to Evers, Dugan said that during her years on the bench, she had presided over thousands of cases with a commitment to treat all persons with dignity and respect, act justly, deliberately, and consistently to maintain a courtroom with decorum and safety of the public deserves. No, you're a lying sack of shit, lady. You're a lying sack of shit. You didn't protect anybody. You allow people who assault other people to escape from your courtroom because of your leftist, hate-wanking, anti-American, racist, anti-white, anti-Constitution views. You should not only be removed from the bench, you should be incarcerated for the maximum 5-year term that is permissible under that statute. 5-year term. Spend the next 5 years in prison thinking about what you did to harm this country while you sit here and profess to be a great humanitarian. As you know, I'm the subject of unprecedented federal legal proceedings which are far from concluded but which present immense and complex challenges that threaten the independence of the judiciary. No, rogue judges are not independent. You have committed a felony and you will pay the price. I'm pursuing this fight for myself and for independent judiciary. You can scream that lie all you want, you leftist hate wanker, but you are going to prison. After learning of a resignation letter, Representative Tom Tiffany, a Republican in Wisconsin, said people shouldn't interfere with ICE agents doing their jobs. A word to the wise, don't obstruct federal law enforcement when they're arresting a criminal illegal alien. Former Wisconsin State Judge Hannah Dugan betrayed her oath to the people she served when she obstructed federal law enforcement during an immigration enforcement operation. Today, a federal jury of her peers found her guilty and sent a clear message. The American people respect law and order. Nobody's above the law. This department will not tolerate obstruction. We will enforce federal immigration law and hold criminals to account, even those who wear robes. 100% correct. She's a criminal. And she thinks she's something else. She can dream on. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done it already, folks. That is the news for today, Sunday, the 4th of January, 2026. little bit of super chat revenue coming in. I want to make sure I didn't miss who gave that. So let me check on there very quickly. Be sure to hit the like button. Don't go anywhere. We're not done yet. We got another 16 minutes or so before I have to break contact here. But let me take a look at where are the supers. There they are. Super chats. Okay. What did Ronaldo give a super chat? I didn't see that. Well, that's an old one. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, oh, I know that song. So JJ Neuhoff gave 14 Rand. Thank you for that. Dems gave 60 Rand. Thank you for that. Bonnie Duplessis, hope you had enough sleep. I didn't, Bonnie. I didn't have enough sleep, but thank you. And Yanku both says Maduro's big blunder. Yeah, exactly. Maduro's big blunder. Awe Masakina. Exactly right, guys. All right. Choose wisely. Loves Trump. Okay. Somebody misbehaving because the mods are on the ball. I missed that. What happened? Did somebody get taken out? Don't say anything there. Okay. All right. Oil drilling companies were American-owned and were confiscated by the socialist government. That's what Trump is talking about. Correct, Phoenix? These were companies, they were assets, they had licenses and authority and were paying the royalties, and their assets were stolen, as well as the refineries built by Americans, owned by American companies. The nationalization of the oil industry was a theft of U.S. companies' resources and a violation of international law. And nobody from the Democrats or those complaining about this attack and capture of Maduro are mentioning any of that. Hugo Chavez did that. The America First is good for lots of people. Why do people hate America? Because leftists have infiltrated our educational system, dumbed down educational standards, taken children from those taught to think to those who are indoctrinated to what to think. And it has worked successfully over 5 decades. Now we have a world full of dullards who don't have the intellectual capacity of a pissant and can't think for themselves. I see it every day. Every day. Trolls get 0 rations here. I like that. Oil might be low grade, but the big oil companies have the technology to make a fortune. Well, that's true, Roberto Wilkie. You're 100% correct. U.S. attack on Venezuela shouldn't come as a surprise at all, considering their oil, drugs, child care. Yep, you're right. Right, Erica. I think I saw a different leader who would leave Venezuela. Yeah, no, she was the one that won the Nobel Prize, but she doesn't have a big following, apparently. How many times do I have to explain this? Their oil is sulfur-loaded and low-grade. Oil will be drilled by China, Russia, West. It's our hemisphere, so the West will drill. All about big oil companies are going to make a fortune out of this. Trump himself said they'll take over. There could be a silver lining. No, it's not really all about that, Roberto Wilco. No, the indictment against him was not anything to do with oil. Yep. I didn't see any trolls. You guys must have taken them down. Yeah, they'll show up. And they've all left. I stopped the news, and so they've run out of sound bites to comment on. So we just lost 60 people who were trolls. I mean, it's not the top of the hour. No one else's show just came on. So when I stopped telling the news, obviously most of those people are trolls. Some are just people who don't have time for the news or data for the news. Anime says this 4 o'clock in the morning video really touched the string. You're welcome. Thank you to the moderators for whatever you did to keep the chat civil. I didn't see it because I was busy doing the news. Even if it's about oil, the people of Venezuela have suffered. Exactly. That's right, Aurora Light. It doesn't matter whether it's about oil. But they said the same thing about Iraq, and there's not a single American company working in Iraq 20 years later, and hasn't been. The oil for Iraq is all for the Europeans and the Japanese, not for us. Yep. Yeah, he wanted a free trip to New York. Well, he wanted a personal meeting. He said he wanted a meeting with Trump. He's going to get it now. A little later than expected. Jonathan Tunder says, the Colonel spends many of his own hours and mods too. Please like it. It's free and easy. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is pretty easy to like the video. Here.
That was easy.
Piece of cake. Yeah, all you got to do is push that button. Like button. 674 likes. Okay, appreciate that. Yep, that's nice. Okay. Maduro in prison is political opposition. Exactly. Who won the election? Exactly right. Hendo says, when the Western Cape becomes independent, they're going to nominate me as USA ambassador. That would be something else. University of Wyatt is open and for free. The only cost is to visit the like button. No, I don't speak Spanish. That's intentional. Lewis says it's great New Year. May God bless your family. Okay, other countries falling apart. I hope President Trump will learn. For watching, that was a while ago. Where's my timestamp on this? It's very annoying that it doesn't do that by default. Say, man, Trump can return him after he served 25 years in jail. Well, Noriega was kept in jail until he was extradited to France, where he served prison time there for his crimes, and then they extradited him shortly before he died back to Panama, where he went to prison there, and then was released a few months before he died. Dictator pawns don't care as long as they succeed somehow. Yep. Hey, Mark Myberg, what's going on, man? Yes, Maduro's wife is also in charge. She was also making her appearance in court. She is in New York, despite rumors that she's in Russia. She's in New York. Just shows you how holy the Pope is. Yep. The world is watching, but the White Army is seeing. Aha. Andrew Kerr, what's going on? Yes, the Pope is an American pontiff. That's correct, and I said that. But he can keep his nose out of our business. Yeah, the pollution and making EVs far outstrips its benefits. Yep, it takes 12 years on average to break even on the carbon output from mining and manufacturing electric cars over burning coal. And then once the coal's burned, the ash is there, it's put in the ground, it's reabsorbed by the planet, reproduced into something else over millennia. Meantime, the plastics and the heavy metals and the chemicals involved in the production of electric cars, when they're tossed aside after a couple of years of them no longer working, fill up landfills and pollute the planet. Chesiki, what's going on? No power. That sucks. From the front lines to the live stream, we're here. There you go. North-South Derby and Bulls will always be nasty. We won, even if not a great game. Colonel, what shirt will you wear if it's Boca versus Stormers? Well, probably a Stormers jersey, Johan, because I can always wear a Boca jersey anytime. Okay, Rudolph Skeppers, welcome to you. Charles Van Alton, the voice of reason. Who else we got in the chat? Yes, oil and gas companies have the technology wherewithal to make a fortune out of Venezuelan oil. Yep. Well, yeah, Hugo Chavez destroyed that oil industry. Jan says the Bulls are giving him fits this year. All right. So where are we at? Anything else? Like Joe Spalema said, not yet. The colonel should say America isn't targeting South Africa yet. Correct. It's not. So please enlighten us. Reference U.S. Air Force movement across Europe the past few hours. Is it for training for NATO? It's all over X, and people have crazy theories. No idea what we're talking about there. You're going to have to give me more information about that U.S. Air Force movement. The United States Air Force flies over Europe every single day. We defend Europe. Thank you for the super chat there, Arnold Rasmus. I'll read that in a moment. We have aircraft flying out of the United Kingdom, out of Spain, out of Italy, out of Germany every single day of the year. I don't know what we're talking about. What aircraft, what movement? That's a vague statement. That means nothing to me. I need a little bit more information there if you want me to answer that question. Yes, the battleships, we've covered that many times. Oh, just in September. Drug is just code word for oil. It's about $17 trillion worth of oil your country loves. Oh, horse manure. Tell yourself that, buddy. We got more oil than we need. More oil than we need. We're the world's largest oil producer, world's largest energy producer, and we'll be the world's first, cold fusion producer. Just hold on to your breath. And tell yourself that. If we're about oil, we never would allow Chavez to rise to power. Never would have happened. See, these assertions based on no analysis, no understanding of the situation, simply because someone told you what to parrot. Oh, it's got the world's largest oil reserves. That's why they're doing it. Saudi Arabia had the world's largest proven oil reserves for decades. Did we invade Saudi Arabia? No. But your next statement is going to be, that's because they're a client state. Venezuela was a client state, and they betrayed you. Yeah, 23 years ago. Why do we wait 23 years? I'm sorry. That is coffee table analysis that has no backing. You have no statement of facts behind that. But just in September, if you can come with a stronger argument, I'm willing to listen. But that argument, that's just a statement, has nothing behind it. You're just making a statement. Money Venezuela is getting from the oil companies made them wealthy and prosperous. Yep. Petra. I've been to Feldrift, but I need to spend time there this next time. I need to spend, overnight. Yeah, it's funny the vice president was left behind. Guys, he changed locations 6 or 8 times a day. Do you know that? This operation, someone turned me on to an op-ed or an article written by someone who's brilliant analysis, talking about the whole thing about our jammers and our compass call aircraft, and the fact that this guy knows about these things is really impressive. He apparently some guy does pet relocation, but not in South Africa. Amazing analysis. I mean, I was absolutely shocked at the quality of the analysis. There's Arnold. Thank you, Arnold Erasmus. Do you ever sleep or get tired? You're on YouTube nonstop. Well, this isn't the only thing I do. Your question is apropos, but consider the fact that I write. I have my own responsibilities, my own consultancy that I have to deal with. I do consultancy there. I do 30 hours a week minimum every week for the veterans. I get hiccups. The Veterans Organization. I help refugees ceaselessly off camera. I mean, I don't get any rest. I don't take care of myself. Eventually, my health is going to fail if I don't start getting exercise. But I'm not getting exercise because of my hip. Once my hip is solved, then I'll get back to exercising again, and then I'll just do live streams while I'm out hiking and walking. We should go get Netanyahu. Why would you go get Netanyahu? For what? Loretta says, thanks for your heartfelt message. It's not the first time. It's just that this one just hit home. So, Shylock says, mind your language, it's just in September. Well, no, it's okay, Shylock. I mean, he didn't say anything rude or disrespectful, and I didn't delete the message because he just offers an opinion, but it's just an opinion. So, Justin September is welcome to explain his opinion, and if he's got something to back it up, we can discuss it. Wouldn't want the colonel here as a diplomat rather as an independent consultant with executive authority. He could then get things done. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Is the U.S. going to invade South Africa next? Well, I don't know that's on the bingo card, but, obviously the ANC and Crispin Peary and others aren't getting the message. Yeah, I'm like the Energizer Bunny, but I am a little tired. T for 2. You're welcome. Snippets. 2CTV has been talking about U.S. aircraft in the UK. Well, we have U.S. aircraft in the UK. 2CTV talks about a lot of stuff. Doesn't mean it's true. So what about U.S. aircraft in Europe? Okay, thank you for that update there, Snippets. Let me go. U.S. Air, C-R-A-F-T, Europe. Okay, I'll do a search for that. I hate Twitter search. U.S. C-17s land at Fairford. Okay, let me see what this says. Flight data shows 7 to 10 aircraft from bases tied to elite units like the 75th Ranger Regiment, 101st Airborne arrived in Gloucestershire. And then many headed to Europe with tanker support. Okay, well I don't know if any of that's true. What I can tell you, this is a summary of a post. What I can tell you is that if that stuff is true, then there might be smoke to the fire. 75th Ranger Regiment and the 101st Airborne are located at different military bases in the United States. And there are no aircraft that are associated with them. There are units, Air Force units that are associated with them habitually, like the 82nd Airborne, for instance. The Air Force bases at Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina are the ones that transport them. So, yeah, I have no information to confirm or deny what's going on there. People can speculate all they want. But, yeah, if there were that many... It says aircraft. It doesn't say C-17s. 7 to 10 aircraft flying across the Atlantic, their U.S. military, is not that unusual. This one says that several C-17 and KC-135 have conducted transatlantic flights from the United States to various bases across Europe. And a noteworthy is one departed from Fort Campbell. That's where the Night Stalkers are. That's correct. Well, that's actually a good summary here, but it's speculation. A noteworthy detail is one of the C-17 aircraft departed from Fort Campbell, of course, where the 160th Task Force 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers, based. Of course, that's a unit we couldn't even disclose. For decades, I couldn't even tell people they existed because it was a secret. The unit was established directly after the U.S. rescue operation Iran failed in 1980. They specialize in Delta Force missions. At least 2 C-17 aircraft have already landed in Germany at Ramstein, with several others arriving in the United Kingdom. The last time logistic flights of such scale were observed was during last year's strikes on Iran. This time, in addition to the scope of the movement, particular attention is drawn to the fact that flights originated from the base of the Special Operations Aviation Regiment, raising the question Is the time of Ali Khamenei approaching? Or Cyril Ramaphosa? Yeah, okay. Well, that's what you're talking about. Okay, well, that's speculation. And, it's based, it may be based on if I had more time to digest it and if I could see the data from FlightAware or whoever collected the data, I could probably summarize the same sort of thing. So someone may indeed be onto something there. What's your thoughts on the timelines for us that is just waiting to fly out? Christo Ostoisen, I couldn't possibly answer your question on that. Thousands of people are waiting to fly out who've been processed already and approved. Also, people who were approved and then had their flights canceled because of the government shutdown haven't flown out yet, some of them. So how could I possibly give you an estimation? I would expect that between the 7th of January and the 25th of January, a lot of South Africans are going to fly out every day. As many seats as available, they're going to put people on. Venezuela was already invaded by China, Cuba, Hezbollah. Yep. Exactly. They used to say we took Iraq because of the oil. But where's the oil? 1990. It's all about the oil. That's why they're going. I fought in that war. We didn't have any oil. We didn't take any oil. No American company established. The French, the Italians came right back in there. The Brits came back in there, and they exploited the oil. We had nothing to do with it. And the oil didn't go to us anyway. Oil from Iraq didn't come to America. We don't buy oil from Iraq. So then we went back in. It's all about the oil. It's all about the oil. Here it is. It's 35 years. We haven't taken a drop of oil from Iraq. It's just liars. Stupid arguments. Must ask the Stoltz family what, Corey? You are correct, Joan Stewart. We have strategic air bases around the world since the Second World War. Diego Garcia, South Korea, Japan, Okinawa. We had them in the Philippines. Clark Air Base was our biggest base there. Vietnam, we had them. We no longer have either one of those locations. We have now a base established in Darwin in Northern Australia, which is an air and marine base. We have bases in the Netherlands, UK, Spain, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Germany, and even Austria until 1955. Somebody just became a member. Thank you for that. Arno Victus and Annalise. Okay. Thank you both for becoming members. UK bases are very busy. That's probably just YouTubers wanting to be scaremonger. Could be fleshing. Could be. Chris, like Elon Musk, he doesn't sleep. Yep. Drill, baby, drill, says Mark Myberg. I'm with you on that one, man. That's why it's here. Hisigi thinks those that complete their interviews by November will start flying out in March, to be honest. I don't think that's true. I think it'll happen sooner. But that's realistic expectation to put on people. Annalise Ruiz, welcome to you as a team member. Thank you very much. Thanks. You just woke me up from my slumber, says Happy. Sorry if I woke you up. Arno Victus, welcome to you. Someone said Chinese diplomats were in Caracas. That's correct. Oh, yeah, that's correct. This may be, what is that? This may be, have been asked already, but will Trump and Hegseth pick up Rahm and his friends? Well, people are asking. U.S. military is in the UK to arrest Starmer for crimes against his people. Wouldn't that be something? People are so worried about grandpa headache powders in the USA. Tell them they can take seal bucks. No idea what you're talking about. Sorry. How much they care about the oil when their family's been murdered. Exactly. Yes, Garrett, they finally paid their final war reparations in 2010. Not my teeth. Can we get 120 more likes? How many likes have we got? We got 787. Let's get to 1,000 likes on this one, folks. All right, I'm going to read something to you here. Let me find this. This is fascinating. This is the Delta Doctrine, how 30 minutes over Caracas redrew the map of global power. The night the Monroe Doctrine awakened. This is by Shanaka Aslem Pereira. Fantastic article, brilliant. Talks about the operation, but I want to go down here to something that the world needs to hear. The legal architecture of American action. The legal foundation. Triple anniversary of January 3rd, talking about January 3rd, 1990, when Manuel Noriega surrendered. January 3rd, 2020, when a Reaper fired a Hellfire missile at Soleimani and took him out. All right, so here is the no rules doctrine. Now listen to this. Listen carefully. This is someone else's analysis, which I agree 100% with, and I wish I had gotten around to writing this because he beat me in the punch. The uncomfortable truth that critics cannot say aloud, but that practitioners understand implicitly. practitioner, is that the Venezuelan operation represents not an aberration but a clarification. The rules-based international order, to the extent it ever existed as a constraint on American power, has been revealed as aspirational fiction. It only works if we have wusses in the White House. Analyst Alex Christoforou, commenting on the operation, articulated what diplomats cannot say. Countries around the world need to realize that the world we live in today, there are no rules. Decapitation strikes are definitely on the table. Kidnapping military leaders is on the table. As far as the Trump administration goes, there are no rules. They will do whatever they need to do to win. Once again, I refer you to the Million dialogue on the Peloponnesian War. The strong will do what they can. The weak will suffer what they must. Now, the author says this is not criticism, it is description. The no-rules characterization will horrify international lawyers and foreign policy establishmentarians who invested careers in the framework of multilateral institutions and treaty obligations and customary international law. But it accurately describes the operational reality that sophisticated practitioners have always understood. International law constrains the weak, not the strong. I say again, international law constrains the weak, not the strong. The United Nations Charter matters when the Security Council agrees and when enforcement mechanisms exist. When neither condition obtains, international law provides only a vocabulary for diplomatic protest. What has changed is not the underlying reality, but the willingness to state it explicitly. Previous administrations maintained the fiction that American power operated within legal constraints, even as they stretched those constraints beyond recognition. The current administration dispenses with the fiction. The result is not lawlessness, but clarity. Adversaries now understand precisely what they face. Cyril. The emerging doctrine. The Delta Doctrine, as it will come to be known, rests on several operational principles. What's that? Thank you for subscription, Yannicka. Rests on several operational principles that the Venezuelan operation exemplifies. First, legal predicates will be constructed to provide domestic justification for action. The FTO designation, the narco-terrorism indictment, the non-recognition of hostile governments create the legal architecture within which American forces operate. These predicates may not satisfy international law, but they satisfy American law, which is what matters for American courts and American service members. Spot on! Second, congressional authorization will be avoided where possible. The House rejected a War Powers resolution by a margin of 210 to 216 in December. The Senate voted 51 to 48 against Kane's Schiff resolution. Congress is scheduled to return from recess on January 6, meaning Maduro will already be in American custody before the first committee hearing can convene. The template is designed to present Congress with a fait accompli. Third, Allied consultation will be minimal or absent. This was a unilateral American operation, no coalition, no consultation, no diplomatic cover, pure assertion of American power. The European Union's tepid statements, Spain's call for de-escalation, the UK's carefully hedged response reveal allies presented with outcomes rather than options. Fourth, international institutions will be ignored where unhelpful. The United Nations Security Council will meet, Russia and China will condemn, nothing will happen. American veto power precludes binding action against American interests. Fifth, operations will be executed with overwhelming force to minimize American casualties and maximize speed, presenting adversaries and critics alike with irreversible outcomes. The rapid timeline was not incidental, it was essential. By the time the world understood what was happening, it had already happened. It was done, dusted, finished, and clear before the world even knew it happened. The international response to Operation Sovereign Eclipse validates rather than it refutes the no-rules thesis. Yep. And here's one of the most important things about all this, folks. You're going to love this. You're going to love this. After working in 11 countries, 27 years in the industry, we old fossils call it devil's drink because many wars and deaths will always overshadow our industry. What's your opinion on fake mainstream media like BBC? Why ain't their news stream flooded with what's currently happening in Iran? Because they're covering up. Hey, Fun Blair. Yeah, President Trump keeping to his word, taking action. Trump is 3 steps ahead. He's already 3 steps ahead on this stuff, folks. Here, this is the one. The humiliation of the Russian arms. The strategic implications of Operation Sovereign Eclipse extend far beyond Latin America. It's global. Perhaps no aspect of the operation carries greater consequences for global power dynamics than the comprehensive failure of Russian air defense systems. Russia spent the last 2 decades marketing the S-300 and the S-400 family of surface-to-air missiles as the antidote to American and NATO air power. Moscow has sold billions of dollars of these systems to China, India, Turkey, Iran, Algeria, and numerous other nations on the premise that they can defeat stealth aircraft, cruise missiles, and tactical aviation. Venezuela represented a showcase for Russian military technology in America's own hemisphere. The S-300 Victor Mike Antiev 2500 system, marketed as capable of engaging tactical ballistic missiles and stealth aircraft at ranges up 250 kilometers. The Buk M2E, one of the Russia's most advanced medium-range systems. What's that? Thank you for your membership, Veritas. Most advanced medium-range systems. Oh, you guys are giving... Okay, someone gave out gifts. I got to turn that off. Sorry. I can't. That's very distracting. One of the most advanced medium-range systems with phased array fire control radar integrated with modern command and control networks. On the night of January 3rd, 2026, these systems accomplished precisely nothing. The failure mechanisms are devastating for Russian credibility. American EA-18 Golf Growler electronic attack aircraft, these are carrier-based, operating from the Gerald Ford, succeeded in degrading or defeating the entire Venezuelan surface and fire control radar network. The ECH-130 Compass Call, based out of Nebraska, aircraft jammed communications, preventing coordinated response. The F-35 Lightning II aircraft penetrated Venezuelan airspace without detection or engagement. The Buk M2E battery at La Carlota was destroyed on the ground. Its 9S-36 phased array radar dark, its missiles still on the rails. The comprehensive failure demands explanation beyond American technological superiority. The answer lies in the degradation that precedes defeat. Venezuelan air defense systems suffered from maintenance collapse before American forces arrived. More than half the long-range surveillance radars were reportedly inoperable due to spare parts shortages, sanctions-driven supply chain disruption, and systemic corruption that diverted maintenance budgets. The brain drain that afflicted every Venezuelan institution had devastated the technical cadres required to operate sophisticated Russian equipment. Operators trained in Moscow years ago had emigrated. Their replacements lacked training and experience. This degradation pattern matters because it illuminates vulnerability. Russian systems require Russian support, and when that support is disrupted by sanctions, diplomatic isolation, the systems degrade. When operators lack training, the systems underperform. When maintenance lapses, the systems fail. Venezuela demonstrated that Russian air defense is not merely defeatable by American electronic warfare, it is defeatable by time and isolation. Spot on. Russia has exported the S-300, S-400 family systems to China for over $3 billion, to India for $5.4 billion, to Turkey for $2.5 billion, with pending sales to Iran. Algeria for over $1 billion, Egypt, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and others. The total addressable market over the next decade exceeds $40 to $50 billion. The Venezuelan demonstration effect threatens 15 to 25% of those projected sales. The implications ripple outward. There are already questions about the Russian air defense systems because it couldn't stop Ukrainian and Western supplied drones. India operates the S-400 as its premier air defense system. Iran has negotiated for the S-400 for years. Algeria has deployed the system across territory. Saudi Arabia has considered Russian alternatives to the American Theater High Air Defense System, THAAD, and Patriot. Every one of these nations is now reconsidering their moves. The arithmetic is merciless. Russia has earned approximately $4 to $5 billion from arms sales to Venezuela alone. The global market for Russian air defense system represents tens of billions more. A 15 to 25% decline in Russian arms export over the next 2 years, which now appears conservative, would cost Moscow billions in hard currency at precisely the moment sanctions would constrain other revenue sources. President Putin built this foreign policy on the premise that Russia could project power through arms sales and security partnerships. That premise died over Caracas. China's strategic humiliation, this is the best part of it. If Russian military credibility suffered a fatal blow, Chinese strategic investments suffered an equally devastating setback. The timing of the operation was not coincidental. It was calculated humiliation. On January 2nd, 2026, approximately 18 hours before the strikes commenced, Xi Jinping's special envoy, Qiu Huakei, met with Nicolas Maduro at Miraflores Palace. The meeting reviewed 600 bilateral cooperation agreements. Chinese state media described Venezuela as an unwavering strategic partner. The delegation emphasized the deep bonds between Beijing and Caracas, the importance of the relationship to China's Latin American strategy, the billions invested in Venezuelan oil and infrastructure. 18 hours later, Delta Force operators captured Maduro and extracted him from Venezuelan territory. The message cannot be clearer. Chinese diplomatic protection means nothing in the American hemisphere. Chinese investment buys no security. Chinese partnership offers no shield against American power. The Chinese Development Bank and Chinese Export-Import Bank extended approximately $60 billion in loans to Venezuela between 2007 and 2017. The largest financial commitment to any single country ever in the history of the Chinese communists. Estimated outstanding debt ranges from $19 to $23 billion. Collateral cost of oil for loan arrangements would deliver approximately 746,000 barrels per day to Chinese refineries. Recovery under a hostile success regime, 40 to 60 cents on the dollar at best. Potential write-down, $8 to $14 billion. The financial exposure compounds strategic embarrassment. The regime change that Operation Sovereign Eclipse initiated creates immediate uncertainty about Chinese debt recovery. A new Venezuelan government, whether led by opposition or by elements of the military seeking accommodation from Washington, will have every incentive to restructure Chinese obligations on terms favorable to Western creditors. Beijing may face a choice between accepting massive haircuts or seeing its claims subordinated to American-backed restructuring frameworks. The strategic dimension is equally damaging. China has invested heavily in Latin America over the past 2 decades, seeking to establish presence in America's traditional sphere of influence. Venezuela was the crown jewel in this strategy, an oil-rich nation explicitly hostile to Washington, willing to offer China military access and strategic resources. Brazil, Argentina, Chile, and other nations watched Chinese engagement with Venezuela to assess whether Beijing could be a genuine alternative to American partnership. The answer arrived in the early hours of January 3rd, 2026. Wow. That's just incredible, is it not? That's it. Just tired of American haters trying to go against Trump. What perks do I get if I become Master and Commander member? Henry Robela, that's a fair question. I don't really have things set up. The perks you get is there's no major difference. I promised to do private videos on that, but the interest is very low. I did private videos for Master and Commander and for the higher levels, and like 3 or 4 people watch them. But we have more now. There are no real advantages to it. It's really just a way to support the channel and the cost of doing this. If you want to do it, that's great. I don't want to discourage you from doing it. You're welcome to do it. You as a paying member, you get the avatars, you get the longevity, you get access to special emojis and things like that. And I do occasionally do members only stream, but you know, people whine about that. Not people who watch the channel. Others, they claim it's just all about trying to exploit people. I try not to give that impression. So Henry Robela, there aren't a lot of benefits to it. It's $15 a month. If you can do that, if you've got the ability to do that, I appreciate it. I can look at start doing some of those now that the audience has become much larger, but I have not historically done it. So I don't want to discourage you from becoming a paying member. I appreciate it. It's not required though. But if you want to become Master and Commander, I appreciate it. I've got a couple Master and Commanders that have been Master and Commanders for 5 years, which is really awesome. So thank you. Appreciate that. What should we do with Durka? More importantly, Pandora. I didn't vote for it. Okay. Charles, 7 to 10. We don't have the numbers. And we can't confirm they're all C-17s. Hey, Amanda. All right. Unfortunately, I have to roll, guys, because we only got the 891 likes. Come on. Can we not get 109 more likes before I leave? We got 872 people here. Mayor Al McGonigal has been a member for 17 months. Yep. Remember the song you made about a mosquito? My profile pic is asking for it. Gotcha. Okay. Can we get to 1,000 likes? I've got to run and get a shower real quick and then run and meet the Stolze family. We're going to go to the Army History and Education Center Museum, and then we're going to Gettysburg Battlefield. So, all right. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. Do we get any more likes? Well, it took us to 934. That was good. Guys forgot. Look, 934. Now we just need 66 more likes. 66 more likes. Come on, guys.
That was easy.
66 more likes. You can make it happen. It's not hard. Just push the button. Easy to do. 950. Oh, now we're just 50 away. I've got 50. Can I get 45, 45, 45, 45, 37, 37, 21? Can I get 100, 100, 21, 25? Now the gentleman over there with the small blue cap on. And over here, the lady over here. 125, 125. Yeah, can we do it? Can we do it? Can we do it? Yes, there you go. Can we do it? Can we do it? 971. Now we are just 29 likes away. Come on. Can I get 29, 29, 20, 28, 27, make it 26? Can we get 25 likes to take us up to 100,000? Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go. 978, we're down to just 22 more likes. Can we make it happen? And I have here now these famous banners for celebrating the United States 250th anniversary, which I'm not offering on sale, but we'll put them up now. Can I get 155, 25, 75, 35, 35? Ooh, 6 more likes. Can we do it? Can we do it? Let's go. 6. Can we count down? 6 over here. Lady over here. Young lady over here. Are you a boor, my C? If you're a boor, my C, you'll give us 6 likes. Come on. Going once. Going twice, 1,002 likes. Sold to the boar mycie with the blue eyes and the blonde hair. Real blonde hair, not bleached blonde hair. From Northwest Province. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. We'll be back live with a live stream with the Stolze family a little bit later on. All right, you guys take care. God bless. Thanks for being here. Hope you found it useful. Thanks to everyone who subscribed on the stream. Really appreciate it. Please go watch my videos, my 4 a.m. video, in which I pour some heart out, and also the one about Ramaphosa. Is it his Maduro moment? I don't know. You tell me. Cheers.